Okay, Ash.
Go ahead.
It is always some sort of fun we get up against when we are sharing this energy with you. You have a certain childlike curiosity about not just the human world you find yourself, but you have a curiosity beyond this. You have come to understand that the earth is small.
Hmm.
Many humans believe that they are large and the earth is large, but in fact, you've come to understand you are small and the earth is small, and you are a visitor there for a time only. And for someone like you want to learn as much as you can while you're in your human body. And it doesn't, you are not limited in your imagination to the earth. You move beyond it into grand schemes and universal ideas and planets and all of these huge things. And for someone like you, it's difficult to stay in human form and have these grand notions. And yet, this is the curse and the blessing of mankind. Mankind is meant to evolve as much as it can while staying inside of its physical container. You
Hmm.
have a physical container right now, and you have it for a reason. It's to keep you on earth and live your life, whatever it is you find around you, that sort of life. So, but these grand ideas are absolutely fine, and you may live a human life with a great imagination and interest in those things that are beyond you.
That's very fascinating to explore things that are very new to me and concepts that are new to me. So I'm enjoying that. I'm glad I'm not wearing out my welcome with you.
Oh, we are. Our interest is always in mankind. So if mankind asks or calls for the universe of love, we find whatever way it is to get to the human. Oftentimes, we are able to use this human, but there are millions of other ways for you to access the information you seek.
Hmm.
This just is the easiest one for you at this moment.
Hmm. Understood. Well, through time and millennia, people have asked to speak to God when they don't understand some of the catastrophes that have been going on the earth, and yet, and be very frustrated that no answer comes. So, is
Maybe
there a
we
reason
must
some
speak.
people don't hear the answers to their
Yes.
questions?
This we must speak to. When humans ask, answers are already there because the answer is triggering the question. Now,
Hmm.
this is a there's a certain calling and knowing inside of you
Hmm.
where you have the capacity to ask a question that is huge. Now, in order for you to have this notion that you're able to ask huge questions, you already know there's a huge answer, or you wouldn't
Hmm.
bother answering the question. You would just succumb to whatever was around you and walk around in this way. Mankind has evolved to this state of demanding questions. So there's a certain amount of evolution in that very gesture. It has been a while with you that you demand and you look up to the heavens and demand answers. So that very calling is part of the answer. You know that there's one coming. Now, there are many different ways to hear these answers. There are some humans who allow answers to pass through their voice vibrationally, like the host. There
Hmm.
are other things that are much more. What would you'd call them sneaky, really? It would be a phone call from a person that you never thought to hear from. It would be a letter arriving that you didn't ask for. It would be some strange event like this that got you to stop for a second and say, hey, wait a second. Why is this happening? But there has to be a moment of, hey, noticing. That's
Hmm.
be a moment to notice that person has never called me before. Why right this moment?
Hmm.
So there's a noticing there. In order for you to notice something, you have to remember you asked a question, and therefore you have to be present enough to be acknowledging you're living a life. Now, there are many humans walking around not acknowledging that they're living a life. They keep asking question after question after question, possibly the same question over and over, because they don't want to hear the answer. They want to stay stuck. They want to stay small. They want to live this mundane existence. If they were actually wondering about the answer, they would be quiet for a moment, a while after, and they would notice strange events. A human bumped into you, a dog ran across your foot and stopped you from falling into a hole. All of these kind of things. You, if you are, if you actually care about receiving answers, you will start to notice and slow down your pace so you may receive the answer. Then there are those who ask questions over and over and really don't want an answer because they do not want to know the truth. So there's
Hmm.
different kinds of asking.
Mhm. So
Let's
is it,
let's just give
sorry.
an example, such as why did you take this person from the earth? You don't want to know the answer to that. You're really just mad, but you can't say, I hate you for affecting my life, which is the truth of it. No, so the questions are not always the questions. Do you understand what we mean? Uh,
Hmm.
so of course no answer comes to that. It's not a question. It's a I hate you. So that's fine. It doesn't matter. That's an emotional outletting for humans. So when you ask a question, it is also for you. It is obvious. You are stating the obvious. But as we answer, we're not answering for you. We're answering for all of those who are asking you to ask this question. So we are not just responding to you, and that is why sometimes you won't understand the response we give to your answer, to your question. And you'll say, that's not what I asked, but we are answering a question for more than you. So you must
Hmm.
be patient with the responses. And even if you don't understand all of them, you can accept that this is a broad answer to many questions being summarized into one sort of smaller question. Do you
Hmm.
understand what we
Yeah,
mean?
I understand exactly. And that answers my question too, because when I go back and look at the recordings that we've made, sometimes the answers don't match exactly what I'm asking. So you're implying a question, which is not what I'm actually asking. So
Yes.
it's interesting how that evolves, but that's okay. We can roll with it.
You have now become a channel for other humans who are crying out for questions.
Hmm. And how are they getting the answers? Well,
They will find their way to this.
ah,
When they truly want the answer, they will find their way to you asking the question and this answer coming up, and it will sit with them. They'll say, "Oh, that's for me." It will
hmm,
sit, it will go right inside of them when the time is right for them to hear. Now,
mhm.
the ones who are saying over and over, why did you do this? They're not going to hear this answer ever. Not until they're probably finished with their life there. Things might happen, but oftentimes you live the whole life, come about, and they say, oh, there's the answer.
Hmm. Well, I could see a difference in a question driven from despair, like somebody passing away and you wondering why they passed at this time. And I, have been in that position myself, versus a question out of curiosity, such as, well, what is time? If time is illusionary, then what is time? When people, I think we can think of these bigger concepts that we don't necessarily understand. Well, nobody, science has not provided any ample answer that we can say, yeah, no, I definitively feel that that's the right answer to that question. So, but I think for me, I think it's coming as driven by imagination and the things we read, and it triggers an imaginative thought. Well, I wonder how this actually works in order for
And if
that
you
to
would
take place.
if you were to take it back to the imaginary thought, you're coming back to the divine self within you. That is curious.
Yes.
Because that if you were to describe your divine self, you would say curious, full of love, at ease and peace.
Hmm.
So this is where questions of many questions may come out of that, sitting in that. When you are sitting in ease, you may ask questions all over the place because you have no agenda, you have no ego attached to it. It's your natural curiosity with the universe. So, what we are saying is many times the answer comes before the question. You know there's no such thing as time. So, you put it into words. Why is there no such thing as time?
Hmm.
See? So
Hmm.
there's a certain information or answer before, and you're questioning this. So this is coming from inside of you. Your very eternal self has this curious childlike questioning of the way that your world works. We will address time for you if you wish,
Yes,
because
please.
we will explain to you why it doesn't exist. For energy Time itself is a man-made concept that was devised by humans at a certain time. It was not always in existence through your time there. There was no, as we are using the word we know, but as long as there were humans on your earth, there was not always time, and yet there were still humans existing. So time doesn't really matter to human evolution. Time matters to humans who are trying to control other humans. And it's gone quite out of control. So now you're all around time schedules. Your
Oh,
body, your sense of self knows when it should rest. It knows when it should eat. It knows when it should sleep. It does not need another human to say, now it's time for you to sleep. But yet you have accustomed your way through time there to be treated this way. So now
yes.
you say, you tell me when to do this, and then I will tell someone else when to do this. And this is accepted by you. It is not truly a thing, it's a man made device to control others. Do you understand
Mm.
this so far?
I can understand it in what in the context of structuring somebody's day and what they do, but there's a scientific side of it that says that relates time and space. So in a three-dimensional world, to go from point A to point B, you have to pass through some level of space, and in order to do that, it takes a period of time. So by definition, both of those things have to be related, time and space.
So if it were possible for you, to move forward through time or back, would you believe then that this time and space are related?
Yes, well, we're demonstrating we can do that with the hypnotic sessions that we're doing.
But then you would come to understand that space and time are not actually the host is not able to find the words for this. If you were able to travel forward through time and see something that has not happened, and you're able to travel backward through time and see and feel events that you were not necessarily a part of in your lifetime, but you feel as if you were, would that therefore come to let you understand or to help you understand that time really doesn't matter, because this not matter, that time is not time and space are not relative to one another, because you may be in this space at this moment right now in this lifetime with your human body, and yet you're able to go back and forward through time. So that proves, as far as time traveling goes, that you are able then to move forward and back without leaving your physical body. So your physical body stays in one time, and your energetic self travels forward and backward. This is
Mhm.
truly what you're interested in. You're actually interested in energetic time. These other man made times that you're speaking of course, they have to be for your world to operate. You have to be at a certain place at a certain time and go there for the other time for to meet the next human and the next event. All of that. That's human gathering information. We'll say and that's fine. That's the way humans have decided to live. But what you're truly asking is, does time relate to energy? Does time relate to you, therefore, your energetic self? We speak of energy because you may travel back and forth through time and leave your human body where it is. And
Mhm.
right at this moment, you are at this moment are having an energetic exchange with the universe of love, and this conversation has also existed many times before and will exist many times forward, because this moment is time is frozen to you because you're involved in it right now. But it and this energetic exchange becomes energy and travels outward by itself. So
Mm.
these very words are traveling. This very exchange is traveling. So even though you now are in your time restraint of this day and this time, the words and energy being exchanged here are out of your control, and they're already gone in every direction.
Mm.
Do you understand what we mean by this?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, conceptually, I understand that. How to tap into that now is another question that as I'm struggling to
You
actually
need
do.
to, you are asking if humans can control time. What we are telling you is your physical human body in this moment can control its time around its small life. Your
Mhm,
energetic self cannot be controlled. It wishes to go where it will. It goes
mhm,
back and forth and up and down, and it leaves and comes and goes like this.
mhm,
It cannot be contained by man-made rules. There's a different,
mhm.
you are living by a certain set of rules in humanity by agreeing to come into human. When you come into human, you say, yes, I will speak, I will acknowledge time, I will study what they believe is important. When you come into human, you're having a human existence. But you yourself now are torn between this human existence. It's not enough for you anymore. This time, this place, what I learn, where I am, what I live in, what I drive, all of this, that's your human time. But
Mhm,
you are now interested in this energy work. This energetic time doesn't exist within energy. For
mhm,
you see, you are alive in this lifetime now, but you also could be alive in another time by leaving your physical body where it is and traveling energetically back. And you know this. You know this more than many other humans do because you have been exposed to this sort of time travel. Do you
mhm.
understand that is time travel that you are exposing or that you are interested or evolved in? Do you understand that is time travel?
Well, that presents a different answer than you gave earlier to when we do a past life uh, regression with somebody, that we're reading. The way you'd explain it was that we were reading a certain amount of energy from their, what I call their aura, their energy body, that we're recovering to
Yes,
remember those memories and those emotions that that
yes.
person had, right? So I would suggest that that is something encoded, or I'm envisioning that as something encoded within that individual that we're tapping into.
Oh, they are actually traveling back to that time and place because they have the key. They have the key
Hmm.
to the door of that time. When they are going back, they are actually there. And this is the importance of this business that you do.
Hmm.
If you were to leave them unconscious, they would stay in the other place because
Ah.
they are actually there. They're not actually in their physical body. At this time, they have traveled through time. They are able to smell and eat and live and feel the emotions and speak the language. Whatever's happening there, they've gone back to it. It's an energetic time travel.
Ah, okay. That's an interesting clarification.
We are not speaking of living two
Hmm.
lives at the same time. We are speaking of living only one life at a time, but you're able to travel back to the others.
Hmm. So when I've done this and other people as well, you have this feeling of being immersed in this scene, much like watching a movie that's very interactive. It's like kind of like a lucid dream in a way. But I'm also aware that I'm in the physical, in this location,
That
in
is
this
you.
space.
That is you because you
Yeah.
are not able to travel back through time perfectly. But
Ah.
there are others who are able to time travel. You are not one of them, but that is absolutely fine because you are guiding those who time travel and make sure they come back to this existence, this life
Hmm.
that they've chosen to live. Without your assistance to come back, they will stay there. Their bodies will dissolve in this time and they will stay where they were.
Hmm. So the more completely immersed into the scene they are, then the more complete they've traveled back. Is that
Yes,
a fair? Ah, very good.
they are time travelers.
Very good.
There are
Okay.
certain ones that you have access to that enjoy time traveling.
Hmm.
They would not be having they would not be interested in it if they would not contact you energetically or physically if they were not interested in time travel. The
Hmm.
ones that are able to do it have a very loose understanding, a very loose connection to the physical body in this lifetime.
Hmm.
They're able, it's all right, it's fine, they have a body, they're having an experience, but they're very understanding that they are more, that they're
Hmm.
energy and they're attached and that they're attached to the universe of love, all of that. So they're looser. They
Hmm.
are time travelers.
Okay. So if they indicate that they'd like to do it or agree to do it, and then they're unable to do it. Some people just don't get a result. They try
Yes.
and nothing
They are
comes
not time
through.
travelers, but there's nothing wrong
Mm,
with it. We are
mm,
having this discussion now because it's of interest to you, but it's
mhm.
not necessary for humans to leave their lifetime and travel back. They are in this lifetime to have this experience at this time. Most of the time, it's not their business what happened back there. This is their life now. This is the one they've chosen to live in and
Mm.
be in and have a physical body. So, this is their time reference. The
Okay.
time travel is important for humans, to other humans, you included, to understand that this is just one time, and the time between you are with your family of love.
Mm.
It's really the in between times that the time travel is for. As interesting as time
Yeah.
travel is to some, it's the in between times. So you may feel at peace and ease. So you'll remember, and that feeling of peace and ease that are before and after each lifetime, you may remember in your time, in your body right now, because you will recall memories of it. And
Mm.
all of a sudden, your body calms down, your heart rate lowers, and it's from this remembering only. So the
Mm.
time traveling itself is not the point. It's the in between remembering that you are part of the universe of love, where you have a grander purpose and everything is easy and lovely.
Mm. Okay. Very good. Now, when we go to that between lives state, quite often a person will get the answers that they're seeking because we have the kind of a pre-interview to understand what it is they want, right? And I feel like I'm kind of the tour guide to finding the answers that they're looking for. And sometimes it comes from the feeling and the knowing when they're in that place, in that state of in between lives. And other times we would bring in this, or we ask for the subconscious, again, just terminology that we're bringing in, but it is that energetic, that hidden energetic self that comes forward in people. Is that the same level of information that is coming in both of those cases?
You have lost us with all of the words. Are you saying that the in between time is the same for all humans?
No. My question is, I'm trying to drill into the accuracy of the information that comes from what we call the subconscious mind. When we ask that to come forward, we actually get a different aspect of the person that knows everything about the person and can answer questions about themselves, such as why various things happen to them, or
Uh,
uh,
you must explain, what do you mean by subconscious mind? Are you talking about the energetic self? Are you talking about the human self? The
no, I would say
subconscious mind.
it's an aspect of the energetic self that comes forward, and what we notice when we're doing this is the person will actually have a shift in energy, and that's like a different personality comes through to answer and speak for that person.
Yes, you are speaking of the same thing. We are. Let us explain what we mean. The
Okay.
energetic itself is eternal. It comes
Hmm.
back and forth, in human, out of human, in human, out of human. This energetic self has access to all information in the whole universe through time, and it knows its own experiences that it has
Yes.
lived in a human body. This
Hmm.
is the energetic self. You are trying to divide the energetic self into something else, but it is only an energetic self that comes in and out of human.
Yes. So maybe it's just a question of terminology. It's we call it the conscious mind, as the mind that we are using when we're very lucid and analyzing, and
You
the
speak of a human
subconscious
mind.
mind, or the high, sometimes people call it the higher self, would be this other aspect of yourself that is often hidden, but we can bring it forward in a hypnotic state in
This
order
is
to
the
ask
energetic
questions.
self.
So it's the energetic self. Okay, so let's
Yes,
call it the
there's
energetic
really
self.
only two. Yes.
Okay. So now when we're in the between lives state, are we connecting with the energetic self when we're having that experience, or is it some other type of energy?
It is the All right, we will try to explain this. The energetic self travels through all of time. It has
Hmm.
memories of certain lifetimes, most of which you cannot access unless you
Hmm.
have some sort of external stimulation that you allow. Let us just put it that way.
Okay.
When you are between these lives, you join in the universe of love, which is it is a it is more, it's an energy, but it's more a feeling of peace and ease. It is a, it's difficult to use the word feeling because you're human and that's why we're using it. But when you're energy, you do not feel emotions. You see,
Mm.
this is why this discussion is complicated. When you're not in physical, you go to a place of ease. When the humans go to this place of ease and they're still in their human body, they try to describe it. They describe it by feelings because this feeling of peace and ease is unfamiliar in your human life. In your human
Mm.
life, you're worried about danger and it was is something else going to happen, all of this. But when you're in non-physical, there's a worry-free state,
Hmm.
a place of ease, a place of oneness. You're connected to all other energy. All of the energies connect as one and work as one. And there you are in this lovely, we have you tried many different human words to describe this, but
Mm.
this is a connectedness. It's like your cosmos, really. So
Hmm.
when you're not in your body, you are there with the others, but you yourself are slightly separate because you have your higher self, but you understand that you're also the same as the next their energy that has had a human existence. And when you meld together and together and together and together, you become this woven togetherness of all beings, not beings, all energy that has been in being at one time.
Hmm. Okay.
Is that more confusing or less?
No, that's you're describing a lot of the things that you're describing the same concept of what we call a tapestry room as something that people relate to. So they see these threads that were existences of various lives that
Yes,
interweave and
yes.
hook
You
together.
become one. Yes,
Yes. So it's people see it or just explain it as looking at it as a tapestry or get that
yes,
image in their mind. But perhaps that's just their interpretation of it. It's not really something they're seeing. I'm understanding
yes,
it's an energetic
yes.
concept that they're interpreting as an image. Is
Yes,
that right?
yes. Because they are still in the human body, they have to find words for it.
Yes.
But they
Yeah.
can usually feel it through the emotion. You may sense the crying or the ease or the peace that is unusual to their life. And this is where they go. This is the feeling that it evokes.
Hmm.
And that is how humans can interpret it. It's difficult to put in words because there are no words for energy.
Hmm. Well, some people say they visually see very explicit scenes and describe the scene in quite some detail. So again, I'm my learning through what you're suggesting is that they're just experiencing energy, but are interpreting it as a
Yes,
visual image in their mind
yes.
to make
Uh,
sense of it.
Evoked by an emotion. If you're
Yes.
able to take their picture and say, "How does you feel?" They will all be the same. It's this peace and ease
Hmm.
and oneness and connectedness. So no
Hmm.
matter if it's a beehive, they're describing a beehive, they're all busy and all this.
Hmm.
What they're saying is, I felt connectedness and ease and oneness and sense of purpose.
Hmm.
It's just the scene. A
Hmm.
tapestry is the same as a beehive.
Hmm.
All of the strings connected make the process in the end.
Hmm.
So these are all the same. It's just the way humans are trying to tell you about it because you're asking. You're
Hmm.
saying, "What's it like? What's it like? What's it like?" And they're saying, "A beehive, a tapestry." All of these words, they are
Hmm.
trying to put the feeling, but beyond it is the feeling.
Hmm. Okay. Um, Understood. And it's interesting to observe that some people will physically will see an image if they're more visually oriented. They'll see an actual picture. Other people might just feel, and
Yes,
they can't answer, but they'll know through the feeling, and that kind of supports what you're saying. Then it's their interpretation of the space.
yes.
Very good. Okay, that answered a lot of questions. So back to this concept of time, if I can just circle back again. Why is it then that humans repeatedly come back to Earth to have a human experience then?
Oh, then you love it. Don't you
Well,
love it?
but by doing that, it implies some form of chronological process. You come and you go, you come and you go, you come and you go over and over and over again,
Yes, yes.
which
But that
implies
is during your
time.
human existence.
But it
In your
implies
human,
time.
while you're in the human, you are having time. You are, when you come in, you are agreeing to the time reference, the time life. When you're non-physical, there's no time. When you're in physical, there's time. And yes, they're all connected, one after the other, because you can't live them all at the same time. You'll lose your mind. So you come in time after time. In each time, we wish to focus on this for you. You choose to come in because you can't wait to get here. You can't wait to say, I'm going to show them what love is really like. You all say that, believe it or not. The moment before you come in, you're saying, this time I'm going to get it. This time I'll be full of love and it will flow through me. And sure enough, the human experience, whatever happens, you're like, oh, it's not going to work out for me. So you're anxious to come back into human form and have a human experience because you're a scientist, just like you know. So you keep coming back wondering, what will happen this time? Will I live? Will I have fun? Will I enjoy myself? Will I share love? Will I hurt others? Will they hurt me? It's a joyful, easy way of being. Do you understand what we mean? It's loose. It's not, I must do this and that's going to happen. It is not like this. It's, I wonder what will happen. I'm going to show up and see the possibilities. It's a childlike curiosity. Each time you're in human form, it's a childlike curiosity. You understand this very well because you're a very curious being.
Yes, yes.
So each time is like this. Sometimes it goes all awful and you leave and you'll hurt others and they hurt you. But nonetheless, you've still had a life and you had a go at it. This is truly the idea of being in a human body, is to have a go at being human. You really can't fail.
So I guess I'm coming back to the concept of I'm trying to make sense of the, I guess, the chronological aspect of this. So regardless how long the life is, it's an iteration. Let's think about like a move, the old style movies. Remember the movies, that the 16mm film? Does that ringing a bell? So in a film, you would have a series of pictures, and when you splice all of the pictures together on a strip, and you watch all of those pictures continuously, you can create movement as one picture changes to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yes.
So one could think that lives could be analogous to that, where you come in, you're in one state, or you might have one experience, and the next one it changes a little bit, and the next one changes a little bit, and the next one changes again.
This is
right?
a very good. This is a very good analogy.
But you wouldn't get the context of the whole experience, which this would be like an encoded. This would be the energetic self, in essence, that records that. We'll call it a movie. That experience, those sequences of experiences are all recorded there, and it makes sense, or there's some learning, one would think, that comes out of having all of those experiences. Am I correct so far?
You are speaking of, now again, you've split these in two. So your energetic self is in accompaniment with your human body through its lifetime. Yes. Are you saying now that when the physical body leaves, that the energetic self takes these memories and goes back to the universe of love?
It does. Yeah, it's the recording aspect of it.
Yes.
Right? So the energetic self becomes like a movie, in essence, a film strip, where each frame in that film is a different life.
Yes.
And if you watch them all together, for the sake of purpose, that each one is the same length of time. So time becomes less relevant. You're just having an experience here as a person, as a human, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. But there's a chronological aspect to it. Meaning one takes place, then the next one, then the next one. So that implies there's a time. So for an hour experience, like if you live back in the days of the caveman with skins and that sort of thing, that happened before what's happening right now. And
Yes.
then maybe in the future, I might be living
Yes.
on a spaceship. I don't know
Yes.
because I'm not aware of that, right?
Yes.
But it could be some
Yes.
other existence as a possibility in the
Yes.
future. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes. But it is in the world of man, on the earth.
Okay, how do you perceive it then? That's in the energetic world. How is that perceived?
There's no time in the energetic world. Energy does not, energy exists through, oh, this is such a question you've got. Energy exists now, before, in the future, uh, a, a million years ago. Energy, this is the problem, this is problematic, because energy cannot be explained in the way you wish it to be explained. You wish it to be explained to mankind, by mankind.
Well, I guess there's two parts to this question. There's the aspect I can totally appreciate that energy is persistent infinitely, so it can
Very
exist, and it can exist throughout time, and time becomes irrelevant because it just always exists and never. It might change form perhaps, but it would never. It's never neither created nor destroyed
Yes,
infinitely. Is that right?
that is absolutely perfectly worded.
Okay, so that's the energetic aspect of it. Now, how about the intelligence aspect of it, which is what you're speaking from, the ability for you to formulate thought, to answer a question. There's an aspect of it, a special
Oh,
aspect of this energy. This is kind of where I was going from before, with I can plug my phone or plug something into the wall and get electricity, but I
yes,
can never get an answer from it. I can never
yes,
talk to it, right?
yes.
There's no intelligence to it. So your energy is something
Oh,
different.
yes. This. We will tell you the motivation of this. This is the real question of all questions. We don't know if you understand this. The energy that we call the universe of love, because it's the easiest, most exact terminology that we can come up with the host, between the host and the wording capability here. The universe of love, besides being eternal energy, cares about humans.
Mhm.
There's a loving force watching over you at all times. It guards you. It watches your human experience. It experiences your experiences with you. This is the flexibility of energy. It's alive. The energy's alive. And as you change, it changes with you. When you say, "Am I forgotten?" the universe responds with, "You are never forgotten. You are loved." It is a response to the human questioning. This is your biggest question of all time. Is energy love?
Mm.
This
Okay.
exchange is about love, and it's for care and concern for humanity. Otherwise, you would be down here by yourselves, scrabbling about and doing what you must. But
Mhm.
you ask, and the energy transforms into love, because this is what humans understand. This is what humans call out for consistently.
Mhm. Okay, so that's taking it a little different tact again, saying, okay, the intelligent energy has a motivation that is to
Yes.
support humans with love. So, but I would say that that's another component. Let's go back to fundamentally, we have something called we're going to call energy,
Yes.
and a quality of that energy is that it has intelligence, right? So you're able to listen to me and understand what I'm asking
Yes.
and provide me an answer. how how is how is this energy different in that you can do that?
You wish to know if we are God. This is a word that your humans invented many, many millennia ago, because it came to understand it was not alone.
Hmm.
So you wish to know if this is an old fashioned word and it has changed many times, but it's truly what you're asking. What we are saying back to you is, the energy of the universe is as you wish it to be. And that's the intelligent part. If you wish for a God, you've got one. If you wish for a debate partner, you've got one.
Hmm.
So this intelligence cannot be cornered as you wish it to be and labeled. It has changed throughout time, and it will change as each to the requirements of each human. But if you are asking, if you are alone in the universe, you're not. You are well loved and cared for, but it cannot be titled and it cannot be put into a small space for you to understand it completely. There's divine majesty in the unknown. As long as you're able to feel loved, that is what you need to know. You don't need to know if it is called something, it has a name and a structure. This is the human way of understanding. And true divinity means you can't understand it completely, but you can feel it. And and you can feel part of it.
Okay. Um,
You will not be able to have your answer
yeah.
given in the way that you require it, because you are speaking as a human being and you're asking a energy of love to call itself something.
I'm not asking for a name. I guess I'm trying to understand what the attribute of that energy is that makes it different, that it can be intelligent.
Do you not think that love is intelligent? It's the greatest concern and care for mankind, not just one other human. So you can think about how you feel when you love one human.
Mhm.
Imagine if you loved billions, how wide open your heart would be, how you would be in a constant state of uh, love and ease and peace. These are the best words we can come up with. And this sense of hugeness that would blow your mind away and you'll fall to the ground, be overwhelmed with the capacity of love that's available to you. You are
Mhm.
only able to handle a little mouthful of it at a time. So,
Mm.
what you are asking, you are not capable of receiving. This
Okay.
you'll have to come to understand as you travel through your time on earth. You might witness this in others, how there is a complete dissolving of self and growing and not growing and becoming one with a common purpose of love, which is a losing of self and becoming one with a concept, an energy. You see how it's difficult to describe because
Mm.
it's losing your humanness and becoming divine.
Mm.
It becomes more confusing for you as you go
Mm.
along here because
No,
you
that's.
can't get a precise answer. It's impossible
Mhm.
because like we said, you're human asking, trying to understand from a conceptual point of view.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So let's go back to we're doing a few different topics at once, but it's very interesting, and I'm following exactly what you're saying. Um, let's go back to the idea of the film I was talking about, where you're having these different lives that are being lived sequentially. So we would, from our standpoint, we would see it as you come in, you have a life. There's a period of time that you have memories and emotions occur, and then you would leave, and it's over. How does you as an energy source see those different events of human lives? How do you perceive them? So do you see them all at once, or do you see them as different
Are you saying as you
planes?
leave? Are you saying as you leave your human existence and your life you just experienced, do you bring
Yes.
it with you?
Well, you said earlier that when we have a thought, it becomes energy and it's
Yes,
dispersed into the universe and it's
yes,
available to everyone, right?
yes,
So when one could say, well, that could be a product of a life, as a many thoughts that you have as
yes,
you go through this existence, right? As you're using your
yes,
five-dimensional senses, or five senses in the three-dimensional world, and creating some thought or impression or emotion that comes from each instance that you have, each instant of that life.
yes.
So so I'm just curious, to us, it's perceived as time. It's linear, and you're
Oh,
only
yes.
seeing
Oh, yes.
one
Yes.
particular frame as you're going through each part of the life. But I'm envisioning, well, if you can see energy and everything together, you could see it all together as
Yes. Yes.
one large conglomerate of thoughts
Yes.
and emotions of everything.
So you are speaking of time again. If you were to take this film and roll it as fast as you can, where it only took a moment to see a life, then
Hmm.
you'd be right on point.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with the idea. Yeah.
Absolutely. So is
But
there
one
understanding?
would but one has to come after the other in the case of a life after life after life. If there was no time, you would just like you would be able to pick up the entire movie and see all of the frames at once without them having to be sequential. Does
You
that
are
make sense?
yes, but you when you're in non-physical, after you're done with this one life,
Hmm.
when you're non-physical, you do have all of them.
Yes.
It's exactly as you're saying, except they're all there for you, all in a moment. All the lives, all in a moment.
Hmm.
But it is not time then it's energy.
Right. I understand. Okay, we're good. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's interesting. So do any of the lives impact each other? And this is the part of the idea concept of evolving and learning. If you if they
Oh, yes.
didn't, then you wouldn't need to evolve at all. You're back to this point of you just have a life for the experience and nothing more than that.
Oh, we have a question for you then. So if humanity has been there for much, much time on your earth,
Mhm.
how is it there are a murderer in your midst today? Would you not all be saints and angels if you were evolving straightforward? You see, that's why these are
Uh,
not connected.
mhm.
It's so you may have different experiences. One time you will be a murderer, the next time you might be murdered, or not the next time, maybe the time after that, the time after that. You're coming to fool around with different lives. You cannot predict if you will be a murderer or murdered because you all come in with the same intention, which is of love. So if you come in with an intention of love, how do you become a murderer? How
Mm,
is it possible? And yet you are around, they're all around you right now. So you're not evolving as a species.
mm,
Well, let us rephrase that. There are some of you who are more sensitive to energy because it's more accepted that there is this universe of love and this energy that's going on. So a certain level of you are evolving in this way because it's
mm,
accepted now and it can be explored more. So there's more exploration of that. But there still are very base human beings in your existence. It must be this way in humanity. You must have some of each type of person in different situations. You cannot be angels. You cannot all be murderers. You see what we mean? Each life turns into a different thing because it's all balancing it out. A little
mm,
bit of this, a little bit of that. Otherwise, what experience would you have if you're all angels? Well, you're so lovely. No, you're more lovely than I am.
mm,
Take my car. No, you take my car. You see, it can't be like that. There has to be givers and takers. Do you
mhm.
understand what we
I
mean?
understand. I understand to make it yeah, make the world go round, as we say.
Yes, to have a life that is
Mhm,
lived and interesting and spoken of and discussed.
mhm. So so when somebody come, I'm just going to just take a left turn here and do a completely different question here. When somebody comes into a life, and let's say a child who gets cancer, as it was born with some form of bone cancer, let's say, and is experiencing great pain and might only live 2 or 3 years and then dies. Is that something that is a choice, or is that something that's just luck of the draw that they've experienced that in their life, or how has that come about? Because one could say, well, what just God would allow? If you were loved, you would never allow somebody to have to experience that kind of pain.
And this is the question of all, is it not? Why does, if there is a God, which is why we have we have an adverse reaction to the word.
Mhm.
If there was one, this would not happen. So all humans have agreed to this. If there's a God, bad things don't happen. That's just the way you see things. That's why we don't use this word at all. We use love energy, and we use the notion of humans coming in to have an experience no matter what it is. So
Mhm.
when you come into being, you don't know where it's going to go and how it's going to end and what's going to happen to you. So if you call this luck of the draw, then we would use that base term as well, because you come in knowing your only intention is to try to share love with others, but you have no idea if you will be the murderer or the murdered.
Hmm. Okay, that's a very different answer than all of the other metaphysical type books of describing. So that's new information. Hmm.
We
So it's
will
completely random. You
come in
simply
with no
decide
intention.
to come in with an intention, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yes, it must be this way. How else could it be? Now,
Huh.
the intention, though, is to share love with others. So, how else could you possibly live a varied life, bumping into other humans, not knowing who you're going to meet? How could it possibly be predictable?
Hmm. Uh, well, a certain amount of that, the entire life might not be entirely predictable. But as you said earlier, when you asked the question and all of a sudden you get a phone call from somebody that's unexpected or
Yes,
something happens that makes you stop and question, well,
yes.
one can say, well, is that not some kind of interference that's put in your
Ah,
way
ah,
to make
yes.
you stop and think and question your path or your actions?
All right. So when you ask a question, the answers come. We would not
Hmm.
call this interference. We would call this an answer to your question. You did not have this question the moment you took your first breath. This happened by living a life moment by moment and showing up one by one by one by one. And you can ask as many questions as you want, but as each moment comes up, it's only at that moment, do you know what's going to happen at this moment. You don't know what's going to happen in another moment, only this moment. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it is not interference. There would never be interference from outside forces about how your life should unfold, because then it's not a free life.
Mm.
Then you're all puppet, and then there's no point to the human existence if you're all puppets, because who would be the puppet master? The word that we will not use again, that
Hmm.
people have blamed for everything that's ever happened in humanity.
Hmm.
We will need to close up our energetic exchange.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Thank you. That was wonderful explanations today. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
All right, let us do namaste together.
We will. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Much thanks and love.
There we go. We're all done.